All right, I am with Don Vachini, one of the pioneers of Sonoma State athletics. He participated back in the 60s, back when it was Sonoma State College. Don, I really appreciate you joining us here today. And first of all, I just want to make sure all your friends and family are safe. We've had the pandemic and the fires here in Sonoma County, and I hope all is well.
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, family is doing well. We're all hunkered down, sequestered, and we live out on a ranch, so some of us are able to go mask-free, but for the most part, we're all social distant and helpful.
Well, you put together this incredible document outlining the early days of Sonoma State athletics. It's now on our website, and I just want to get an idea from you what it was like back then. The town was new, Sonoma State was new, certainly athletics were new. What was it like to be a part of all that?
Well, first of all, it was the city of Rohnert Park and Sonoma State were both in their infancies. It was a well-conceived plan, and they were I think in Rohnert Park, it was Maurice Fredericks and Paul Golis. They were the founding fathers of Rohnert Park, and Dr. Rudloff and Dr. Gross were the founding fathers of not only the athletic department, but the kinesiology department as well. So I made the analogy in the document that they were like two children growing up at the same time and following them through their infancies, and now they're in their 60s. So they've had a nice run, and they've touched a lot of people in both areas. So it was a different time then, but I'm grateful I went through it.
You not only participated in one of the very first basketball teams ever, but later when baseball started, you got involved in that. How did you get to be on the team back then? Where did the athletes come from? Obviously, they weren't out recruiting, nationwide like today, how college athletics is. Did they just kind of drum up people who were on campus that had some experience? How did you get on the team?
Well, it was a different era then too, and there was no recruiting. The Far Western Conference was supposedly anti-recruiting, but Sonoma State basically picked their players from the students that were on campus. And as far as baseball, the prior season, we had an intramural. It was basically a baseball class through PE, but we actually scrimmaged a lot of local high schools and got a feel for what we had. We had a very good group of solid core of baseball players. And so we were probably one of the most successful teams in the beginning, but no recruiting, just I think possibly 30 kids tried out for the team. Final roster was 19, and we held our own. We did better than a lot of people thought. And but yeah, it was a good experience. We made lifelong friends, and there was a lot of talent in this area. There still is a lot of talent.
What fascinates me is seeing some of the names on the list of the team, the coaches and the people who participated, and how they're still a huge part of the community here in Sonoma County. Talk a little bit about some of the people who were instrumental back in those early days.
Well, I would say that as far as the instrumental people in my life and a lot of other people's life was Dr. Rudloff, who was the head of the department. We were there as students first and athletes second, and that was, my parents particularly made that mighty clear. You better keep up the classroom or you're not going to be playing. But Dr. Rudloff was very instrumental. Dr. Gross, Dr. Lash, Dr. Pearson, all of those professors who were coaches, I think they were all hired as PE teachers, and they coached. They were all accessible. They were friendly to us. They helped us. And I think that trend has permeated throughout the whole time I've seen Sonoma State, even to this day. The instructors are there for the students, and they're like surrogate parents. They're there for them. So I would have to say that most of the coaches that I had, they helped you beyond the game.
Now, what was it like? It had to be a little bit heartbreaking when athletics ceased to exist in the mid-'70s and the fields went empty. What was that like as one of the pioneer athletes to see that happen?
Well, I was a pioneer athlete that graduated in 1966, so I was out in the field, but still felt the heartache when that happened. It was primarily a financial thing brought about by the group of, well, I wouldn't say they had anything ill in mind, but had an issue with the funding, and they tried to eliminate all funding for all programs. And all programs happen to include athletics, which was, it hit a lot of students and a lot of these programs that a lot of people didn't hear about the other ones, but it was heartbreaking because so many people in the community had contributed money and financial support of some kind. Dr. Rudloff was a tireless raiser of funds, and this was a big blow to him too. So it like pulled the rug out from everybody, and a lot of the community was very upset with Sonoma State after the '74 season.
I know it has to be exciting for you now that athletics are, of course, back. They've been flourishing for years at Sonoma State. I see you out at the games. And this document, I think, really bridges the gap between the two eras of Sonoma State athletics. How did the idea come about to come up with this document, this book that outlines the history of 1962 to 1974?
'60s and the '70s were kind of not much written about them. And I know for me, a lot of being on that committee, a lot of people would say, well, what was it like such and such? And I'd say, they were kidding me about, how old I was and whatever. And I said, well, when I played, we had the peach basket and we had to go up and take the ball out of the peach basket, just like Dr. Naismith intended. But in all kidding aside, that's when Bill Fusco, the athletic director at the time, tasked me with, he said, would you be interested in doing a history of the early days? And having a little bit of knowledge about it and knowing a lot of people, I said, well, sure, go ahead. And I took it and I ran with it because I had a lot of help from people, for interviews and stuff like that. But I had a lot of help just doing it. And I tried to involve as many people, and I really enjoyed it. It was a labor of love, but it helped me to give back something to Sonoma State that had basically set me up for my life.
Well, we really appreciate our alumni, and particularly you pioneer athletes. Obviously, it takes a lot to keep athletics going, but we appreciate the support at the games. I see you at a lot of the games. Financial support is, of course, greatly appreciated. We'd love to be able to upgrade facilities and keep Sonoma State athletics moving forward. How do you feel when you come to the games these days and kind of knowing a little bit about the past and seeing what's happening at present and future?
Well, I've often said this, that as you age, you look at the game and you understand the game, whether it's tennis, baseball, basketball, or whatever. You understand the game, and in your mind, you can play it right now. And then your body gets in the way and tells you, no, you're not. But having played the sport at a high level and been involved with that, and then seeing other athletes now going through that same thing 40, 50 years later, I've said this before, I swell with pride when I go to those games, because I see young men and young women. They're still kids at heart, but they're playing at a higher level than we ever played. The game has changed a lot in all facets, but I just enjoy having been a part of it and still being able to live through those young men and women.
Now, I know you were a Cossack, and I know there's kind of a sore spot with some alumni that the name was changed eventually. What are your thoughts on that, and what is it like for you now, having had that experience with a different mascot back in the day?
Well, as I've said it before, when we played, we were so happy to represent our school, and we were getting a wonderful education. So we were Cossacks, and as a Cossack, I will still identify myself as a Cossack athletically. I do understand that, when the change to Seawolves, a lot of alumni, a lot of people were upset, but I'm figuring they didn't change the colors scheme. They changed the nickname, they changed the color scheme, and I will continue being a Cossack, but I will, when I attend the games or as I go through life, I will continue to have Columbia Blue and Navy coursing through my blood. Always a Cossack, but in support of the Seawolves.
Well, that's awesome. We appreciate that. The document is on our website at sonomaseawolves.com. Go to Inside Athletics. It's right in the middle of the screen, the SSU Early Days of Athletics, 1962 to 1974. And Don Vachini is the author of that tremendous piece. And it's been a great addition to our website. We really appreciate what you've done.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor to do it. As I've said, I've met more people that I never knew that knew me, and that, we've heard of this. So this just brings out and it elicits a lot of fond memories. And I look back and I think that we have come through this era. We built traditions, and then we transitioned to our lives. And we can look back now, and any of those former pioneer athletes should embrace their part in Sonoma State history. And I, for one, like I said, I'll always be a Cossack, but in support of the Seawolves. And I'm glad I went through that phase.
All right. Well, thanks again, Don. And I look forward to seeing you out there on the field, in the court, in the second semester. We're very hopeful that we're going to get athletics going again here at Sonoma State in the second semester. And I know you'll be out there with a big smile on your face, supporting all the way.
That's what I'd like to reiterate. You'll see me out there with a smile on my face and enjoying everything that the Seawolves do. Thank you for having me.
All right. There you have it. Don Vachini, one of the pioneers of Sonoma State athletics.